Welcome one, welcome all back to the channel, and I'm glad that you're here today as we take a look at a figure that I never ever thought I was going to have in my collection. For a couple of reasons. Anyway, this is the Transformers Robots in Disguise Warrior Class Steeljaw. And of course, me being me, I've added a nice few paint apps to this guy, several of them. In an effort to make him look better. That being said, was he a bad toy to begin with? Well, we're going to explore that question and find the answer out together in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. I am humbled that you are here. And what can I say? Please like, comment, subscribe, share. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor. Have a look for me everywhere. And why not watch Universal Collision since you're here already? Or hey, just spend some time on the channel and see what it is that tickles your fancy. Now, full disclaimer, I never thought I would review this guy because I never planned to get him. As time has gone on and I've happened to pick up a few of the RiD figures along the way, ones that I really like, I wanted them to kind of have a squad leader, and who better to be a squad leader than this guy? So I was excited to get him last week. As of this recording, Starscream Girlfriend and I went to Sci-Fi on the Rock. It was a fun time, and thanks to the guys over at JJ's Fun Stop, I managed to find this guy. Didn't think I'd see him anymore now. And of course, they have a lot more than just Transformers, but hey, check those guys out. So I picked him up, and out of package, now I'll say this, I actually got this guy loose, so I don't have any instructions or anything, but out of package, he's kind of a bland color scheme. A lot of blue, some gray, very little else on him. I wasn't impressed with him out of package. It was the sort of thing where I looked at it and said, yeah, it's kind of like Steeljaw. I've seen the Transformers Adventure version, and granted, I think the blue on that is a little more muted, probably better. There's a few more paint apps, and that is improved, but it's still missing some details. So at a package, I'm going to give this guy's paint apps a grand spanking total of about 4.5. It's nothing great. It's nothing great. It was kind of, I think, a lazy paint job, to be honest with you. Not a great start. With my improvements, honestly, I think now the guy is about a 9.5. So what did I do? I added a little bit of yellow on his shoulders, a little bit of yellow on his neck, and down on his abdomen. I added red on his toes, and I added red on his kneecaps. I added a little bit of yellow up on the crest of his head and a couple of red spots there. I'm going to just take this out of his hand. Let's see if I can get in a little closer here. I might be able to. By the way, also up here, on the molded part of his shoulder, I put like a blue with a dash of teal. I put that same kind of color down on his shins here, and I put it on his eyebrows just to differentiate them a little bit. So bringing the legs back and the arms back. Let's see. And the head straight. Let's see how close in I can get this for you. Hopefully you can see some of the detail right there. Oh, and I painted his ears silver. So I think it did vastly improve the look. Articulation. Well, the articulation is actually kind of interesting. The arms can go forward that far, and they can go back that far, but they don't go all the way around. The forearms, or sorry, the shoulders can go forward and backward that far. The forearms, this flap doesn't peg in it anywhere, but we have a bicep swivel and we have an elbow bend, but I feel like you have to really extend the arm and then bend it. The elbow bend goes to 90, if not a few degrees over, but if you look at the gray back here on his elbow, you'll actually notice that there are basically notches there as if it would be ratcheted, if it's not actually ratcheted, and it makes his elbow joint very, very stiff. I feel like the forearm or the bicep is a small piece of plastic. I'm kind of waiting for it to break. I don't know why anyone would ever design it that way. A simple friction joint I think would have worked just fine there. I don't like it. I don't like it, and honestly this elbow is even tighter, and you can hear the click. Just listen. That's his elbow clicking like that. I don't like it. I think it's fine if you're putting them on the shelf. Great for collectors. I think kids are running the risk of breaking the arm off of this guy. The head, it can go left and right, no up or down. Nothing at the wrist, nothing at the waist. The thighs only go out to the side about that far. They go well forward. They go well back, really. There's a knee that's nice and deep, even though his leg is a bit of a weird shape. And I guess that can, you know, his foot can go forward like that. The tail, it can go all the way up and down. There's a ball joint here and a ball joint down lower, so it can go left and right at a couple of spots, which is good because the bottom of his feet is rounded ever so slightly, but enough that he can stand up on his own. If you try and just stand him up on his 2 feet, oh wait, I have the tail down there. If you try to stand him up on his 2 feet, that's what happens. You really need the tail to serve as a third leg. Now, that being said, I'm okay with that because the guy has a tail. Hey, why not make it useful? And having the 3 points really does make him pretty stable. And you can pull off some pretty dynamic poses, so I dig that. That being said, the feet should have been flat. The elbows should bend better than they do. The forearm should, you know, piece that folds over should actually tab in somewhere. I feel like a lot of corners were cut here. I'm only giving his articulation about a 6. It's nothing amazing. It really isn't. So out of package we have a 4.5 and a 6. The guy is about a 5.25. With my paint app, since I said that that's about a 9.5 because I think it's so much better and adds so much detail to this guy, he still has a 6. He's about a 7. He's about a 7. So a 5.5 in a package, a 7 if you put in a little bit of elbow grease, and it just goes to show the difference that a few paint apps can actually make. Now we get into transformation. I am not a fan of that either. Like I said, or at least I think I said, I've tried actually recording this review a couple of times now and failed miserably, largely because of that transformation. You would think that it would be easy, especially if you know the other RiD figures, because they've been pretty great. Speaking of which, before I get into the transformation, here he is next to Bisque. You know, he scales well. I looked at Bisque in full in episode 212. Love this guy. I will take Steeljaw out of it just for a moment, and we can look at his weapon, which is this thing. It's a Wolverine-esque claw. It's okay. It's a claw, not a blaster. I always prefer a blaster over a melee weapon personally because you can shoot from a distance. You can't use this really from a distance. In robot mode, you can store it in his hand. Besides that, I don't really see anywhere else to store it, and I think that that's a real shame because all they needed was an appropriately placed 5mm port. Now I'm sure that there's probably a place to put it. Maybe on his hip. Could it fit there? Not really. There might be a way if you fiddle with it enough. I don't see any way back here. So outside of being in his hand, I don't really see a way to store that in this mode. Hey, if you know of one, let me know. Let's get into the transformation and see if that helps this guy. I can tell you now, it's probably not gonna. So we straighten the arms out on those terrible, terrible ratchets and we collapse them. and we collapse them. So you can see how the bicep goes down into the forearm. Next, I guess you can fold up his feet here and fold up his feet here, and even turn the legs if you really want, so that the knees are facing each other. Untab this chest piece and untab this chest piece. Yeah, and bring those down. By the way, in case I didn't say it, his shoulders do go way out to the side, so that's good, I guess, for articulation. So we have all of that just dangling away. We have the legs dangling away. We have the tail dangling away. Okay, right now everything is just fiddly. The head got to go down into the chest. So we basically take this whole backpack and we bring it up. That brings the head down, and we pull down the panel right there. Everything is still just free flowing. Now this whole backpack section up here with the two rear tires on it needs to go straightened out, and I feel like for everything to fit, this has to be straightened out pretty perfectly, which I don't like. I think it's too exact. We have a blue piece of the chest here and a gray hinge. That needs to go in under this rear tire here, and it'll go in close to the body. And there's a little blue tab up here, little blue tab right here next to my finger. You probably can't really see it, but this whole shoulder pad kind of guides in there. It doesn't slot in or anything like that, but that's kind of a guiding mechanism. And we take this down, we bring it in, we push that in on the side, and we bring that all the way in like that. There's a couple of little teeth up here. I guess that you could say that they tab in under the edge of the roof, but they don't really tab. Again, it's just a loose guide. Same on the other side. We bring that in by the body, and we bring this up around, and they kind of loosely go in there like that. Take the tail, and that goes up here, and we sort of just leave it for now. That's what we have. Now these hands need to go into spaces right here behind the leg. And this piece that juts out right here, that needs to go up over the top of the hood. So I do find that you have to kind of fiddle and finagle to get that in there, and I don't like it. So you bring this up so that the thigh is going into what you have folded up, and you sort of manipulate this in around until it fits like that, and you do the same on the other side. You bring it up, you manipulate it in, and then you tab all of this together, and it should hopefully tab. Finally, you come to the back, and remember I'm doing all of this without instructions. You come to the back, and on the tail you have a rectangular space, and way up there, kind of between the rear tires, near the spoiler, you have a rectangular tab. You bring the tail all the way up until it goes in there. You can leave this hanging out of the back, or you can just fold it down on the ball joint. And boom, in the end, there you go. Steeljaw in his vehicle mode. I think that it's a cool looking vehicle mode. I like it. It rolls like an absolute champion. There's a slot here in the top, so you can take your claw and either put it in forward like that, which I think is the way you're supposed to do it, or if you prefer, you can have it facing toward the rear of the vehicle. No problem. Here's the thing, I'm only giving his transformation about a 6, because though everything kind of guides in and goes over each other, I don't feel like there's anything that really locks it. Now, oddly, surprisingly, it's pretty solid once it's together, but it's because of how everything sort of puzzles in. I don't like having to kind of finagle the legs. It's not hard, it's just slightly cumbersome. I don't like how the arms guide in but don't really tab in per se. I'm underwhelmed with the transformation and the engineering of this guy, because I know by now that other ones in the line have been so much better. He was getting a 5.25, transformation's a 6, he's about a 5.5. Definitely not a standout figure, definitely not a standout of the RiD line. I had said that even with my paint apps he was a 7, again, transformation is 6, 6.5. So this guy, even with some, you know, some of your own work, at best he falls between a 5.5 and a 6.5. I think he's okay for collectors. I think that kids are just going to get frustrated with the floppiness of those shoulder pieces, the fact that, you know, you're not looking to put this peg into this hole, at least not very often. You do it with the tail, but everything else you're just kind of guiding it in, and the fact that this rear section needs to be so flat to the roof to have these doors kind of tab, and I'm putting that in quotation marks, tab in. It's an okay figure. I do like the fact that you don't really have robot kibble underneath, like you don't really notice a whole lot underneath. They've done better. They have really done better. Am I glad though to still have this guy? Yeah, I am, because I did want a leader for my RiD faction. Do I regret skipping over him when he first came out? Nope. Can't say as I do. Don't think he was ever or will ever be worth full price. But hey, we all like what we like, and perhaps your opinion differs greatly from mine. I'd love to hear what you think about this guy. Anyway, that's it for me. I was as honest as I can be, just like I always am. I, again, appreciate you giving me some of your valuable time, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together for another visit right here inside the videos.